Okay, so I'm a little bit late to this. I'm sorry. I've been dealing with real world issues. But besides that point, recently, as announced by Scrambled Fast, Persona 4 Re-JP domain was registered a few days ago, and 2 years ago, around this time period, Persona 3 Re-JP was registered, and then 3 months later, Persona 3 Reload was revealed. And if you remember during that time period, I remember Persona 3 ended up getting leaked the day of the one of the game showcases over the course of that summer. So that was actually really fun to be around. And
I'm coping. Holy shit. Wait, new Elizabeth models.
And like, wow, Atlas really did an Atlas. I remember at the same time Persona 5 Tactica was also revealed, but no one cares about that game, which is really funny because you could find Tactica on sale for $10. But regardless of that point, recently I've seen a lot of people talk about does Persona 4 require, does it necessitate, and does it need a remake? And regardless of that fact, Atlas more than likely is going to remake the game regardless. And I'm probably going to buy it. I'm going to keep it real with you. I've been a Persona 4 fan for, unironically, I want to say the last 10 or so years. As far back as I can remember being in elementary school, I always had Persona 4 in some way, shape, or form around me, okay? And it has easily grown to be one of my favorite franchises of all time. And I hold those games near and dear to my heart, okay? Listen, I'm a Persona fan pre-Joker being in Smash, okay? I'm not like Unk OG, but I'm like, I've been around the block, so I've seen the rise in community discourse. I was there reading and being impacted by the Hi, I'm Daisy comment. People advocating for Yu Narukami to join Smash Bros. Only for it to be Joker, okay? So I've been around the block a little bit. I've been around the block, being around for the Super Butter Buns, Beginner's Guide to Persona 4, Beginner's Guide to Persona 4 Golden, okay? I've been around the block. I've seen those videos when they were released. And regardless of any of that point, I see this common talking point that Persona 4 needs a remake. Persona 4 desires to have a remake. Persona 4 would be better off with a remake. And as I've mentioned earlier, Atlas is going to make the remake anyways. But at least for me, it kind of makes me have to ask this question. Do you, and as you, I mean the viewer, believe that video games are a form of artwork? Are they art? Are they art pieces? Do they deserve to stand the test of time? And when I ask you that, I also have to ask, do you believe that video games are simply products to be consumed? Because if you believe that video games are art form, in my honest to God opinion, there is no reason why you should advocate for Persona 4 getting a remake. Because, at least in the context of the modern age Persona fan, Persona 3, 4, and 5 are available on all modern platforms. Those games are not inaccessible by any mean way, shape, or form. You can, I was there. I vividly remember the Persona 4 post getting leaked on the Steam backend. They put the information in too early, and them announcing at the PC Gamer Show, hey, Persona 4 Golden on Steam today. And it was funny because I think I just wrapped up my playthrough of Persona 4 on the PS2. But regardless of that fact, the games are available on all modern platforms. Your Switches, your Xbox Ones, your PS4s, 5s, Series X, Series S, and even on Steam. And I mention that to say that Persona 4 is an easily accessible game, and one of the reasons why you would remake a game is so you can have more people have access to it. That's already been completed. It's not like where Persona 3, where there was, at the time, 3 different versions of the game, the original, Fez, and Portable, all having different experiences, and Atlas wanting to make a unified, definitive Persona 3 experience without FemC. Depending on how you feel about FemC, you might be offended by that. I dead ass don't care about the FemC discourse. You control the buttons you press. You control the buttons you press. You control the buttons you press. Regardless, but with a Persona 4 remake, a lot of the reasons I've seen people advocate for why Persona 4 would benefit from a remake have got to be the dumbest things ever. And I deadass don't care if you get offended. If anything, on the channel, I've proven time and time again, I talk about the things I like and I dislike, and I am unashamed to fully double down on the opinion. But if we're being completely honest, if you view video games to be a form of artwork, a Persona 4 remake is going to do exactly what P3R did and strip some aspects of the game's original identity in order to have it fit into a Persona 5 mold. Persona 3 utilized different weapon types. Persona 3 had the fatigue system. And while some people view those as detriments to the gameplay experience, it does help differentiate Persona 3 from the other games of the franchise. Along with that, Persona 3 having AI controlled party members, it incentivized and kind of like helped the story and gameplay intertwine in the idea that your player character was the leader. You as a collective, C's are not able to progress unless you're around. So when the player character dies in battle and the fight ends, I can somewhat believe that from P4 onwards, that shift has changed and you are now able to have direct control over your party members. And that kind of shift it's been more unified. Now games play the same. Gameplay improvements that will, what would you bring and innovate upon base Persona 4? That is my question. Genuinely, what would you add to that game? Content wise, because I hate to break it to you, if you took issue with the way Naoto and Kanji were presented in base Persona 4, I have horrible news. They are not getting rewritten. If anything, they would change the script to probably adhere more closer to the Japanese release, because I do know there was a little bit of translation issues and maybe even some voice direction issues, primarily being Teddy. I do believe he is supposed to have more like childlike wonder because he's supposed to be interpreted as a small kid. I think that's like the proper interpretation they wanted you to have in Teddy. But regardless of that point, they're not going to add anything substantial to Persona 4 that needed to be added. You already have the golden epilogue. You already have events throughout the entire game that have been coupled together. I'm sorry if I'm like stuttering and I'm at a loss for words, but genuinely speaking, what would you even add to a Persona 4 remake? Do you just want it to look like Persona 5? Do you want all 3, 4, and 5 to look all exactly like each other? Is that what you want? If that's the case, then I'm sorry. I'm not going to get behind that, and I'm not going to stand for that. And especially even more so when I look at the fact that Persona 3, while yes, it is in some way available on modern hardware, it is not the version that the newest remake takes the most inspiration from. The same thing can be said for a hypothetical Persona 4 remake. The PS2 version of P4 is not exactly on modern hardware. And yes, people overwhelmingly so do take Golden to be the definitive version of the game. I take it to be the definitive version of the game only in the sense of the gameplay additions and being able to the fusion changes and all that. I do believe that the Golden content, at least in my personal opinion, a lot of it sucks. Just straight up sucks. I think it actively takes away from the game. The only thing that I like that Golden added would probably be like the occasional scene and the scooters, the new area, and the epilogue. That's it. Everything else Golden added, they could have kept it to itself. I'm keeping it 100 with you. But I just keep coming back to that point. The gameplay is perfectly fine. It may not be as fine-tuned and up and atom as Persona 5 is, but it still is functional. The game is playable. It is not like it had performance issues on its original hardware. It's beyond that point. So I'm sorry, like this video deadass just me ranting, but like what purpose does Persona 4 serve getting a remake? I'm probably gonna buy it anyways. Like, yeah, I'm a part of the problem, but genuinely speaking, who benefits from this? Nobody. The fuck? Okay, one quick notice I want to throw into the video that I forgot to put in is I see a lot of people talking about that, hey, I don't want a Persona 4 remake because you're scared of the discourse or whatever. And it's like, bro, if you are letting online discourse and severely impact your enjoyment of a product and you are unable to make that online offline disconnect, I'm sorry, you are lost, brother. Maybe you too are also as chronically online as you so claim those other people are, but I don't know, man. You're not exactly cooking. You're not exactly cooking, brother.